of ideas as well. Okay, so Marcy says yes. Thank you, Marcy. Okay, let's dive into this. So here is what happened. Next week, I'm producing a workshop called Getting Work Done with an Audio Analyzer. If you guys are interested in this, I will put that as a comment on the video right now. But what happens is that when you click to enroll, it takes you down here, and then you pick one of these times, and then you have to fill out this question that says, what is your most urgent question about getting work done with an audio analyzer right now? And I was looking over those questions, and one interesting thing I noticed is that Connor wrote this: learning an exact order of operations when it comes to system tuning and time aligning a PA system. As a touring front of house sound engineer with some smaller bands, I don't typically have much time to spend on the system each day, so I'm eager to learn a quick, easy setup that will allow me to analyze the PA properly and quickly adjust for the best sound possible in each venue daily. So how many of us want that, right? Me, I want that. This is what we all want. We all want a quick, easy way so that we can basically get the thing done and then get to the fun part, which is mixing the show. So I have some ideas for you, Connor. Again, if you guys have ideas, please type those into the comments box. I'm hoping that Connor will see these later, and he'll get some ideas for moving forward with this. By the way, Connor, I'm also curious what bands you're touring with. So if you want to put those in the comments on this video as well, that'd be kind of cool to see what kind of projects you're working on. Okay, so here's my first couple of suggestions when it comes to the order of operations. Number one, please read Bob McCarthy's book and definitely read this section. So if you don't have his book already, I'm going to put a link into the comments. Okay. So if you want to go straight to order of operations, I think you can look at this section 14.7 calibration procedure. I wrote book, but it's cookbook. So here's 14.7, calibration procedure cookbook. Each one of these is detailed. It tells you where to put the mic. It tells you the step-by-step instructions, and it tells you how to decide if it worked or not. And it even gives you some helpful images here of not only a microphone map, but also what the audio analyzer might look like in this situation. There are a bunch of these. You should go through and learn them all. These are things that you need to have memorized when you're in the field. And I'll get to that a little bit later about why you need to have all these steps memorized. When I was going through this for the first time when this updated version came out, I really wanted like a complete step-by-step thing, not for just one procedure, but for all the procedures, just like you want, right? So here's what I did. So a couple of years together, I started putting together this flow chart. And how can I zoom all the way out? So this is what all of the procedures and some extra stuff that I just made up looks like in Bob McCarthy's cookbook if you do everything in order. So this is the answer to your question. This is the exact order of operations. Hopefully you guys can still see my screen. So it starts with our audio analyzer verification. Step 1, connect the output of your audio interface to a free input of your mix console. That's where we all begin, right, with the audio analyzer verification. And then you go through a bunch of steps. Some of them are iterative, right? And then at the very end, the last thing you do is monitor during the show. So the great thing about our audio analyzers is that they are source independent. That means that we can measure our signal generator playing pink noise during setup and calibration. And then we can keep measuring whatever we want to after that. So we can measure the band during sound check and then the band during show, or whatever the content of the event is. Okay, I want to zoom in on one particular thing here. And it's this one right here. So this flow chart starts with assuming that you have at least one speaker, and then you go through some steps with that single speaker. And then one step that you get to is, are there more speakers? If the answer is yes, then it says, okay, is this a spatial extension, like a fill or a delay speaker? If the answer is yes, is it symmetrical? Is it coupled? So let me escape out of this. And I'm going to actually close this, but if you want to look at this, I have a link for you. You can even comment on it. Because I made this 2 years ago, there might be some mistakes. So if you find any mistakes, please let me know. But that is the link to that flowchart. Okay, so I was talking about why I had that series of questions in there. And that is because of this other section in Bob McCarthy's book, Order of Operations. If we click over to this guy, the priorities for calibration, order of operations, you'll notice that first we do elements and then subsystems, okay? Single elements that then combine into subsystems. And coupled elements precede uncoupled elements. So you've got your coupled point source array, right, with the speakers all together. And you want to do that before you then align that system with something like a front fill down on the stage lip, or a subwoofer array down below that point source array that you have. Okay, so I wanted to draw your attention to that. Because what we're going to start doing here is we take that huge long list of everything you could possibly do in a sound system tuning procedure. You pick out the things you actually need to do, and then you put them in order. Make sure that you're doing this hierarchy, this order of operations, elements, then subsystems, coupled, then uncoupled, and then there's distance hierarchy. So you start with the system that covers the longest distance. That's usually your main speaker or your main array that covers the it covers the largest space of the audience, right? Because we are doing a democracy here, not a monarchy. It's not just for one person. We're trying to get the same sound for as many people in the audience as possible. So we start with this element that covers the longest distance, and it's usually covering the most people as well. Okay, I think I can close Kindle now because that's all I wanted to say about those order of operations. The next thing about order of operations, just from a sort of, you notice that we started with the very small view of like, what is everything we could possibly do? And now we're looking at how do we get those into the right order? And now the next thing I want to look at is even standing back farther away, what are just like the bigger chunks? So I made this thing called the Sound System Tuning Roadmap a couple of years as well. And we don't need to look at every box here, but I just wanted to draw your attention to these main sections: placement, aim, EQ, and crossover alignment. And the reason that we do things in this order is because one has an effect on the other. If we move the placement of one of our speakers, it's going to affect the time arrival between those two elements, right? So we don't want to align our spatial crossover, our fill speakers, before we finalize the placement. If we change the placement, all those relationships change. And EQ can also have an effect on the delay, and it can have an effect on the delay per frequency as well, right? So frequency-dependent delay, and that's why we want to do our EQ to our entire system before we do our spectral crossover alignment, our main sub-alignment, right? Phase aligning those crossover alignments. And we also might want to do our EQ before we do aim sometimes. So sometimes we break this rule, right? We might want to EQ and then do aim and the EQ again. Because if we make big changes with the EQ, especially in the high end, like we do some kind of tilt to really adjust the tonal envelope, then that aim might change a little bit if all of the high frequencies go down or up a little bit. Okay, if you want this sound system tuning roadmap, take a look at it for yourself. I have a link for you, and I'll put that in the comments. Okay, we've covered a lot of stuff so far. If any of you guys watching this have any questions, put that into the comments for this video and I'll try to cover it. I can't guarantee I'll be able to answer all your questions, but I can give it a shot. Okay, we have talked about all of this stuff. Okay, now I want to focus on this word, quick. This is interesting for me. Like, we want everything, right? Fast, quick, easy, proper, exact. And it sounds like an impossibility, but we can at least talk about it. We can approach it. So here's what I think about quick. We saw that we have this huge long list of things we could possibly do. Then they need to be in the right order because some things affect other things. So to be quick, I think the best thing you can do is create a microphone map and a checklist. And for extra credit, you should practice that the day before. And I'm going to talk about how to do that in a second. It looks like I'm missing one URL. I'll grab that in a minute. But I do have an example of this. Oh, I hit close. Okay, let me open preview again. And let me grab that. Let's see. Great. Okay, so here's a microphone map and a checklist from a show that I did. And then you can see it can be pretty simple. And this is what we want, right? To work quickly and confidently in the field. For me, I need to just have confidence that I remember where do the microphones need to go, and then what am I doing with each step. I print this out, I have it in front of me, in front of my console, I have a big Sharpie, and then I just cross things out as I go through them. And I have a whole article about this, so I don't need to tell you how to do this right now, but it can be this simple, right? And if you're working with the same band on tour, you might be going to different venues every day, but maybe they're similar. So maybe you can kind of use the same template every time and then just make small adjustments to where the microphones need to go, or maybe one step that you need to add to the checklist or something that needs to be reordered each day. Okay, so that's how you get more fine-grained and get quicker at this stuff. Here's the article about how to create that checklist, and I'll put that in the comments. Okay, and I have another article about how to practice this stuff at home when you don't have a PA, and this can even help speed everything up. Like if you were to make that microphone map and checklist and then practice the day before, with as close to real life conditions as possible. Like let's say you set up your sound system at home and you go through every step. That would be amazing, right? That would help make you really fast and confident the next day. But if you can't do that and you don't have a sound system at home, or at least not one that really models the conditions that you'll be using in the field the next day, then MapXT can be really useful for this. And I have another article about how to practice when you don't have a PA. Let me find that real quick. I think it's called PA. Or maybe it's called practice. If I can't find it in a second. Oh, here we go. It's called How to Practice Reading Phase Traces When You Don't Have a PA. And this walks you basically through installing MapXT, using it for the first time, and then how to go through and do some phase measurement reading practice at home with MapXT. But you can use MapXT to do almost everything that you're going to do in the field tomorrow. The only thing that you can't really do that is one really common thing that we do with our audio analyzers in the field is that we create average measurements, right? So we might look at 3 mics at once and an average on top of that. You can't do that in MapXT yet, but you can export your measurements from MapXT, import them into your audio analyzer, create an average, and look at them there. And I think in this article I even describe how to do that. I even have an explanation for French users. Okay, going too far. Okay, so those are most of my main suggestions for you. Let me just recap, Connor. So first, take a look at every possible procedure you could do. Then put them into logical order, right? So we talked about order of operations, placement, aim, EQ, crossover alignment. Then what you're going to want to do with your mic map and checklist is reorder everything based on 2 criteria. Number 1, you want to have as much important things done so that if the client, customer, artist, manager walks in at any minute and says, I want to hear the sound system, or I'm ready to go, then you can just say, no problem. I did the main things I needed to do at the beginning of this checklist, and so now we can do the sound check, or I can play the system for you, and then I can come back and finish those other things later. Priority number 2 is microphone moves. So the thing that really slows you down in the field and can help you be quicker is by not moving the microphones as many times. So you don't want to measure this thing at this position and then go and do this other thing and then come back to that position. So even though we have this roadmap and we want to do placement, aim, EQ, and crossover alignment for every speaker, we don't do each of those things for each speaker and then come back and do them all again and then come back and do them all again for each speaker. We try to limit it so that we can do all of our microphones here, do as many procedures as we can that make sense operationally in that microphone position, and then move the microphones and then do as many things as we can. That can help you be much faster as well. And I mentioned that you would need to memorize a lot of these steps. So you noticed, I already closed it, I think. Yeah. You noticed that on my sound system tuning checklist, I don't have a bunch of details. It says really short things like EQ at this microphone position with this speaker. So all I have is the name of the procedure, the microphone position, and which speaker is playing, usually. And that's because I've memorized all of these procedures. So another way to practice at home is, number 1, just practice memorizing all the steps. So you look at Bob McCarthy's book, you look at the procedures in the cookbook, then you need to practice writing them down, make sure you have it memorized. Then you maybe practice them in MapXT, then you practice them at home. Then when you get into the field, then you know the steps already. So then on your checklist, it may just have 4 items, but each of those 4 items has a bunch of little details that you've already memorized. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to say to wrap up, Connor, is that the right order of operations is the one that gets the results that you want in the time that you want. Okay? That is not the answer you wanted to hear, which is why I didn't say it at the beginning, but that is the correct answer. The great thing about our jobs is that the sound system tuning police are not going to come and arrest you if you do something different, or you do something out of order, or you do something technically wrong. All that really matters is that in the end, you get a great result that you're happy with and that your client or artist is happy with. And it's also fun for you to do. I mean, what I recommend is that you take these suggestions that I've made, try them out, but then also try variations, try something completely different. You want to be experimenting with this stuff so that you can really find the things that work for you, your skills, your conditions, and really get the results that you want. You might try the way I've said it and it doesn't work for you. It doesn't get the results that you want, so try a variation, try something different. And then let me know. I'd love to hear your results for this with this stuff. Okay, let me see if there are any other comments or questions before we wrap this up. Paulo Mendes, hola, hola. Um abraço. Yes, Paulo, so I will have this video available later, and you should be able to download it. It'll stay on Facebook, and I think you should be able to download it, or it'll be on YouTube. Yes. So yeah, you'll be able to watch it again later, Paulo. Cool. All right. Thank you guys for letting me steal some of your valuable time today. I hope this helps you with your work. And as always, let me know how it goes. All right. Bye, everybody.